Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whatever part of the world you're joining us from. My name is John Sutherland. I'm the Senior Director of Community Impact at Tourism Cares, and I'm really excited to welcome you today to our webinar, which is Ireland Green by Nature. Before we get started, I want to just remind everybody of our normal housekeeping notes for our webinars. We love seeing you all interact in the chat to connect and say hello. We have attendees sometimes from all around the world, so feel free to pop in, say hello, where you're from, what organization you work with. And if you have any questions for our speakers throughout the course of the webinar, please feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We'll answer some of those live, and then we'll hopefully have some time toward the end of the presentations to answer the rest of the questions that you have. We do have closed captioning available for this webinar, and the webinar will be recorded and circulated after to all the registrants and to our entire community. Today, we're going to explore how partners across the island of Ireland are creating experiences that are rooted in environmental stewardship, in cultural preservation, and community well-being. You're going to hear about offerings that range from things like hands-on food experiences, guided walks, water-based journeys, heritage sites, and all of those experiences that you're going to hear about today, they're designed to connect your travelers more deeply with Ireland and the people who call it home. We're also going to show you how to use the Tourism Cares Meaningful Travel Map of Ireland to build itineraries that go beyond what people typically expect. So helping travelers really experience the island with a greater sense of purpose while supporting communities and their resiliency and delivering real positive impact. This, on a personal level, this is an exciting one for me. When I started in the industry, I was an Ireland product manager, kind of handling operations with a global tour operator, and got to take a ride along and see Northern Ireland and the rest of the island. And it's a special place for me. So I'm excited to help host this webinar. Before we dive in on exploring Ireland, I'm going to just provide a quick, brief background on Tourism Cares. So Tourism Cares, we're a travel and tourism industry member-supported 501c3 nonprofit. We're based in the United States, but serve communities and travel companies around the world. Our mission is to bring the entire industry together and serve as a catalyst for positive social, environmental, and economic impact for the people and places around the world that are directly impacted by tourism. We do that through a number of different ways. We have in-person events. We have one coming up in a couple weeks in Asheville, North Carolina. We have networking, industry training, such as this webinar, other online education like coursework, and then we have tools and resources that are intended to serve all the segments and all professionals within the travel and tourism industry. So chances are there's something for you there. We recognize at Tourism Cares that sustainability is a journey. Some of you in the audience, you may be knowledgeable and advanced on that journey of sustainability. Some of you may be at the beginning stages. And just want you to know that regardless of where you're coming from there, we welcome you into our community and we invite you to take steps in the right direction. At Tourism Cares, we use the term meaningful to define and describe the work that we do. There are lots of terms in this space, eco and responsible and sustainable and those sorts of things. I thought I would just take a minute to clarify the term meaningful travel and why we use it. So meaningful travel ensures direct benefits for host communities, protects cultural and environmental assets, and it connects guests with a destination in a deeper, more responsible way. We encourage the industry to think about how they can infuse meaningful travel into all the elements of operations through food, adventure, culture, shopping, transportation, accommodation. So all those things that you think of that we do in our industry, they can be infused with that meaningful aspect. And one of the things that we like about the term meaningful travel is that it really reflects on how that form of travel is good, not just for communities and environments, but also for the traveler themselves. And you'll hear about, I think, the way that these experiences can be enriching and engaging for travelers over the course of this webinar. One of the practical ways that we infuse meaningful travel throughout the industry is through what you see on your screen here, the Tourism Cares Meaningful Travel Map. The map is a global tool that showcases market-ready, impact-driven organizations. So these might be community experiences from social enterprises or nonprofits, indigenous-owned businesses, organizations that are leaders in sustainability. We call the organizations on our map impact partners, and they share a real strong sense of purpose and commitment to the positive impact that they have on their local community, on their local environment. Today, we're thrilled that there are over 800 impact partners across dozens of destinations with new regions launching all the time on our Meaningful Travel Map. We think that this tool is growing. We see a lot of demand for it because it fills a real need that there is in the industry, connecting or building a bridge between product and positive purpose. Here's the Meaningful Travel Map of Ireland with 48 impact partners. The goal in us building this out is quite simple. We want to make it easy for all of you on the call, tour operators, travel advisors, destinations, but other partners across the industry to be able to find and integrate partners into itineraries, in this case, specifically in Ireland. So whether that's a local meal, a hands-on cultural workshop, a small community tour, the map helps you source that with confidence. You don't have to do heavy research. We've kind of done that work for you. And luckily today, you're going to have the opportunity to hear from 6 of these incredible Irish impact partners. The map brings local organizations that create impact into the tourism supply chain. That means more tourism dollars staying in local communities. It means supporting the people who are doing this positive work. It gives travelers that richer, more authentic experience that we were talking about earlier. They'll remember it. They'll share it with their family and friends. So by using partners that are featured on the map, our impact partners, you can spread the benefits of tourism to diverse communities and create real long-term impact, showing that we can really change the way that travel impacts the world when we work together. All the organizations and businesses on the Meaningful Travel Map are vetted by Tourism Cares under a criteria that's summarized in the slide here, but you can learn a lot more by visiting our website. As you listen to the presentations today, we want you to think of the role that you can play within your organization and the industry at large. So this is just kind of a little flow chart of how all of our roles can support the positive impact of our industry on destinations. So whether you sell Ireland to travelers or not, think about how you can elevate change makers like the ones you're going to hear from today in your own product, in your own supply chain. How can you support these businesses and invite them to the table? So with that introduction to what we're trying to accomplish today, I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues from Tourism Ireland, Jack Foley and Kieran Barry, to introduce their work and invite their partners, the impact partners from Ireland, one by one, to do short presentations for all of you. As a reminder, please use the Q&A function to ask questions of specific panelists or of the group. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jack and Kieran. Take it away. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And it's great to be here. We've been working together for over a year now, and it's great to see our Meaningful Travel Map come to life and on to the next phase. Just quickly here, I just want to introduce myself. So Kieran Barry, based in New York. So with the New York trade team here, I am one of the key contacts for any of the tour operators or partners that are out there in the U.S. market. So I do a lot of different avenues of working together with our partners here in the U.S. and Tourism Cares is one of those elements of bridging between our industry partners over with the Tourism Cares map. I'm going to let Jack introduce himself here.
Hi guys, my name is Jack Foley and I am the Trade and Industry Engagement Intern in the New York office. I work along with Kieran here and I basically do a lot of work on the trade communications side of things. So I cover webinars every month, any sort of e-signs that go out. I have a lot of input on that. So absolutely thrilled to be on this webinar today, joined by 6 excellent Island of Ireland partners and excited to present.
So from our side, we're just going to take a few moments just to bring you all through just at a high level, just Ireland in general, where we are, and more importantly, we're gonna probably go a little quicker on our end so that you guys get to hear more from our industry partners who are on here and all the great things that they're doing in their areas. So, but just at a high level here, this is just giving an indication of Ireland access from an air perspective in the U.S. market. It has been growing considerably through the last few years, and the key part is regionally where people have access to be able to get to Ireland. Obviously, you see that Dublin has a lot of flights that are heading into it, but we also do have the west coast of Ireland with Shannon, which operate out of the Boston and New York areas. But the whole point here really is that people have so many different U.S. cities. Obviously, we have some of the Canadian outlets as well that are traveling from, and is continuing to look to grow. Obviously, we mentioned up at the top there, we have Raleigh-Durham that launched this year, and Pittsburgh is also launching. So primary, secondary cities, even down into the tertiary cities to try to get more and more access for people to be able to travel. And one of the key things I would say is just as a reminder, and maybe people might not know on this, is that Ireland, you pre-clear out of Ireland when departing. So you're going to do the immigration process over there. And it's a nice thing that people don't really realize until after they're leaving. But when you're landing in New York or in Boston, you're heading straight home from that standpoint. So one of those things that we always forget until we're there, but it's a good reminder just on this as a whole. One thing I will mention as well is that for Ireland, the average night stay for vacationers coming from the U.S. market now is 8.8 nights, which is incredible. For a tiny little island the size of Maine, every single county has its own personality, experiences, and you're going to see a few of those on our call today. But having an 8.8 night means that we are trying to get people to move around a little bit more, see Ireland in a different place, and we're trying to constantly grow that number. But people are staying longer in the island of Ireland, which is really incredible, and it matches up to everything we're doing here. Go to the next slide. This is just a breakdown from our regions that we promote here in the U.S. So as the marketing extension of Ireland, these are how different ways that we will promote our region. So obviously you can see the 5 regions represented here all by the colors. Obviously Dublin being there from all the great attractions and things inside of the city and the county itself. And then we sort of work our way around where you have the Ireland's ancient east, the hidden heartlands, the wild Atlantic Way, and Northern Ireland. So again, every single one of these regions where we are able to drill down, offer their own experiences, whether it's adventure, culinary, luxury, all these elements are a part of every single region. And we try to get everybody's story out into the U.S. market as much as we can through the course of the year, because every single person has a story. And it's great that we have the 6 partners here to give their own. We'll go to the next slide there. This is just an example from an adventure. Adventure has been growing in Ireland quite significantly in the past few years. Different aspects of travel. So there's soft adventure. There's a little bit more exciting adventure. But what you're seeing here is some of the walking, the cycling, kayaking. Ireland is funny and it's a very adventure-seeking destination. And every single county has their own style of adventure, which is great. And over the next few years, we'll continue to evolve that development of the product and also the marketing of it, because it connects unbelievably well, obviously, from sustainable travel and what people are looking to do from the types of clients that might be coming in to you. It's sort of an evolution for some partners that maybe don't have those 42-seater coaches anymore, and people are traveling a little bit younger, feeling a little younger, and want to get out and do more in the soft adventure space. So every aspect of our county has all of that covered as well. So this is just an indication of some of the different types of adventure that you can seek when you're in there.
I'm going to take over from Kieran here. So here at Tourism Ireland, we really appreciate the importance of sustainability in our practices. And this is truly reflected on our Ireland Unrushed campaign. So for a bit of context on that, 59% of US consumers say that they would spend more on accommodation or experiences when they're on vacation. And that is a percentage that is growing year by year. The thing about it is that Ireland offers great public transport options between public buses, there's trains, and as you can see there in the picture before you, it's an amazing way to see the beautiful green scenery and the rugged coastlines. If you want to move to the next slide. So with the Ireland Unrushed campaign, we encourage people to slow things down, spend more time in each place or region, and spend more time with our lovely locals. And this, as I said, can all be done there through rail, through using our miles of cycling greenways, or even taking a boat there, as you can see in the bottom right corner, through the River Shannon and stopping off in charming little towns and villages along the way. Just next slide there. Now we're going to move over to the culinary scene in Ireland, which is truly coming of age. With our abundant oceans and our fertile green fields, Ireland's landscape translates into great local ingredients and great artisan produce. So from seafood chowder in a coastal pub to traditional Irish stew in the surrounds of an 18th century market, it's so common for you to be sitting at a table and you're eating a dish that the ingredients have been sourced a mere few miles away by a local farmer. And just on our restaurants, we have 25 Michelin star restaurants across the island of Ireland and hopefully many more to come. But the thing about food in Ireland is it's not just about the taste of the food, it's more about the place, the experience, and the people who create it. If you want to go next slide. So with all this being said, myself and Kieran have discussed some of the many experiences available on the island of Ireland, but what truly makes the island of Ireland so special is the friendliness, the warmth, and the hospitality of our proud people. And this is reflected in our national slogan, which is Céad Míle Fáilte, which is Irish for 100,000 welcomes. And it's that I believe that sets us apart from other destinations and shows that we are an island that really does go beyond expectations. So if you want to go to the next slide. I'll pass over to Kieran.
So right before we hand over to our industry partners, we just wanted to reiterate what John was mentioning before when we were partnering with Tourism Cares. We're trying to find our place in the sustainable tourism environment as well, and how we can take all of the great elements of what our impact partners are doing on the ground in Ireland already as a natural way of doing business and have their own operations set up. And this meaningful travel map was the perfect opportunity for us to be able to work with our tour operators, travel advisors, and have them have a tool that they would be able to go to be able to put together itineraries or affect change into itineraries, or for those clients that are growing and growing with more knowledge of sustainable travel in the US market, that they can point them to a place that they can put a full-on vacation package together with hotels, attractions, right here at their fingertips. So again, obviously it's an evolution of education as we continue to go in the US market, but this map will continue to grow. We will continue to look to add more partners in here to fill in the map to represent all the regions we spoke about before there, because there's so many opportunities and different adventures that will all connect together with the overall goal of having this place be the tool that people could utilize to make some great conscious decisions on sustainable travel. To the next slide. And again, this is just a representation of where the link would be for Tourism Cares Meaningful Travel Map. And a perfect segue, I think, at this point with all of our partners and their profiles that are listed on this map for me to sort of stop the gift of the gab and talking a little bit and let our partners maybe take over at this point so we can meet and greet all of them over the next portion of the presentation.
Yeah, so just to, I suppose, give a quick introduction to our presenters. Today, we're joined by Tracey Jeffrey with Tracey's Farmhouse Kitchen, Owen O'Reilly with Ahascragh Distillery, Emma O'Brien with Mount Congreve Gardens, Alwyn Egan with Dublin Bay Cruises, Sharon Porter with Solas Ireland, and Barry Flanagan with Erne Water Taxi. Next slide. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you in the very capable hands of Tracey with Tracey's Farmhouse Kitchen. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Fáilte romh ilig, or Céad Míle Fáilte, as Jack mentioned earlier. Welcome to my home. I'm sitting here at the minute in my home, and this is where our food and drink experiences all come from. So I live in an 18th century converted thatched cottage, along with two very messy teenage boys and a husband who's probably worse than they are, and many different animals. We have a small farm here as well. We are located literally 30 minutes from Belfast, but we're in a very rural, unspoilt part of County Down, not far from Oh gosh, it's lovely to see that somebody's been here already. So we're 90 minutes from Dublin. So we're actually south of Belfast. So if you were coming to us from Dublin Airport, it would take about 90 minutes. We're right on the shores of Strangford Lough, and it's a marine nature reserve and an area of outstanding natural beauty. We would say that the pace of life here is much slower. You won't see lots of different coaches on the roads here. In fact, you might not even see one coach. We invite you into our home. As I say, close your eyes to any cobwebs or mess or whatever, because this is actually where we live. And we invite you to roll up your sleeves and make some traditional soda bread on the griddle, the way it would have been made back in the day. So we do not weigh or measure anything when we're making these traditional Northern Irish breads. Perfect for the likes of multi-generational groups, kids, grandparents, and so on, small groups, and we can take up to 50 people actually, so we can also accommodate larger groups. Um, Everybody basically makes their soda breads, which we then cook on a griddle. They're ready from start to finish in 15 minutes. And our guests, I can guarantee them, will come out with these beautiful soda farls or soda quarters. And they're absolutely delicious. So after you've done your traditional bread making, you'll then sit down around the table and you'll enjoy the freshly griddled breads with our homemade jams, with our creamy Irish butter and our seaweed butter, or dulse as we call it. Um, Bottomless tea and coffee. We also have lemon balm tea from our garden. And if you have a bit more time to spare, we invite you to roll up your sleeves again, come out into the garden with us and pick your salad leaves, pick some vegetables for lunch, um, and come back and make lunch with us. As I mentioned earlier, we have some animals here, mostly rescue animals. So you can meet Peggy the pig, you can meet our ducks and hens and chicks and goats and so on, lambs, and in fact, feed the animals as well. It's a very relaxed, easy experience. You're getting to meet the locals, you're getting underneath the skin of things. And we are absolutely delighted to be featured on the Meaningful Travel Map. That means a lot to us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Tracy. We're going to move on to Owen now with Ahascragh Distillery.
No, thanks, Jack. Hello everybody. My name is Owen O'Reilly. I'm the Tourism and Sustainability Manager at Ahascragh Distillery. Ahascragh Distillery is one of the new distilleries that has popped up around Ireland. You'll see there's a lot of them coming up, but ours is different, I promise. We are the first eco distillery in Ireland, and it was set up by this couple that you can see in the bottom left of your screen. That's Gareth and Michelle McAllister. They're a husband and wife team who had always had a passion for the drinks industry, had never actually worked in it before. But when they retired, they decided to take that chance and they bought that very dilapidated building that you can see in the bottom right corner of your screen. It was an old 19th century mill that had been abandoned for the last 60 years. They took that building and restored it into the beautiful distillery that you can see as the main picture there. And if we move on, I'll explain a little bit more about how we became Ireland's first eco distillery. Every other facility has to burn something to generate their power, mainly oil or gas. We don't do that. We have electric heat pumps, and those electric heat pumps are powered by wind power, solar power, and water power. So everything that we are putting into our distillery is completely green energy. And we're also only using about 40% as much energy as a regular distillery. So we've reduced the actual amount we consume, and everything we consume has no emissions attached. The actual concrete result of this is we have 98% less carbon emissions than a standard distillery. We're the only one in the world that actually runs like this. It was thought to be completely impossible until Ahascragh Distillery became the proof of concept that this type of zero energy emission distillery or distillation could actually be done. So if we move on, I can show you a little bit about the experiences we do. We take everybody. So we have something for large leisure groups all the way up to individuals who are looking for really luxury experiences. So our basic experience is going to be a full distillery tour, and it is an active distillery. You will see people at work, you will see spirit in production. We don't hide anything behind a curtain. You get to really walk through the production facility as we're working. On the basic tour, then you'll finish with a simple whiskey. The next one up on the standard, it's more of a sit down and we do a deeper dive into the tastings. With the premium, then you're going to get some food pairings. So we do some whiskey chocolate and local farmhouse cheeses paired to our whiskey. So it's just a more of a culinary element in that one. We've also built a charcuterie board using local produce. So we're making our own crackers and chutneys here. We're sourcing local cheese from East Galway, and also there's a new industry of dried meats setting up in Ireland. Contrary to the climate that we have, people have figured out how to actually make salamis and chorizos, and we're pairing them as well with our whiskey. So we have a fully Irish, mainly Galway-based charcuterie board as well. We do luxury tours where you actually get a 5-course meal with each dish using our spirit in its creation. And we also offer warehouse tours, which are led by our founder. So if you've ever dreamt of seeing behind the curtain of a distillery or getting unfiltered access to a distillery owner to ask all of your questions, we do that. So we really do have something for everyone here. So if we move on, you can see we're just based out in East Galway. It's a really nice stop for anybody who's touring the country, really conveniently located between Dublin and Galway. So yeah, it's a really nice quick stop to do as you're touring the country, and we'd be delighted to see anybody who wants to visit us. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for that, Hon. We're going to move on to Emma O'Brien with Mount Congreve.
Thanks, Jack. Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to introduce Mount Congreve Gardens, an 18th century estate in County Waterford in Ireland's sunny southeast. So having been in private ownership until 2011, Mount Congreve officially opened to the public in 2023, giving visitors access to 42 acres of gardens. So Mount Congreve combines one of the world's largest private plant collections with a forward-thinking approach to regenerative tourism. It was originally designed as a curated garden, and it has since evolved into a dynamic living landscape where rare magnolias, camellias, and rhododendrons thrive alongside native species. Here, structure and wildness coexist, and the estate's geography shapes what can flourish. So it's a place where visitors can really slow down, reflect, and reconnect with nature. And Mount Congreve is really more than a garden. It represents that shift to meaningful travel, where every visit contributes positively to the environment, the biodiversity, and the local community. So moving on to the next slide. At Mount Congreve, we offer a range of experiences for all types of travellers. So we provide guided garden tours that bring the estate to life, sharing in the horticultural heritage and conservation stories. And all of our tours are with expert gardeners, many of whom have worked on the estate for 30 years, and they worked for the previous owner. Guests can also stay in eco-conscious forest cabins or our restored historic gate lodges, all designed to fit into the landscape. Estate to plate dining features, seasonal menus. The produce is grown right here on the estate in our kitchen gardens. We use locally sourced ingredients where possible, and we have a zero waste approach. Visitors to the estate can explore products from our retail partner, Foxford Woolen Mills, alongside our house exhibitions that celebrate Irish craftsmanship and the estate's heritage. For more active travellers, the estate connects directly to the Waterford Greenway. It's a scenic 46-kilometre old railway line, and it's perfect for cycling or walking. So moving on to the next slide. Sustainability at Mount Congreve is built into the estate itself. So land, water, and climate, that all informs every decision, creating a model for ecology, heritage, and hospitality so that they're all deeply connected. So some of the sustainability initiatives include rewilding initiatives. So they support the native plants, pollinators, and wildlife habitats. Our wetlands act as natural filters. They store carbon and they enhance the biodiversity. We use chemical-free horticultural products, so protects the soil and they encourage ecological balance. Our zero waste dining policy closes the loop between land and table, and our sustainable accommodation includes energy efficient systems and eco-conscious materials. The estate also supports learning, so we offer horticultural and conservation experience for students and visitors alike. So a visit here is not just restorative, it's responsible travel that leaves a lasting impact. And then on to the next slide. So for travel trade partners, we can offer flexible curated experiences. So for FIT, they can enjoy private tours, exclusive dining and boutique accommodation. For groups, they can benefit from guided tours and food experiences. And then for self-drive and cycling clients, they can enjoy the Waterford Greenway. And we work closely with our partners to create bespoke itineraries and off the beaten path experiences, giving clients something truly memorable and meaningful. And then just on to the final slide. Thank you so much for your time today and for supporting meaningful travel, and we look forward to welcoming you and your clients to Mount Congreve Gardens.
Thanks so much for that now, Emma. We're going to move along to Alwyn Egan with Dublin Bay Cruises.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see so many people here and lovely to listen to the presentations by our other partners in Ireland here as well. So I work with Dublin Bay Cruises, and just to tell you a little bit about ourselves, we're a family-run boat operation and we run leisure cruises on Dublin Bay 6 days a week in season from April to October. We have a 96 passenger vessel, the St. Bridget, and in terms of facilities, we have seating outdoors on our upper and lower decks. And then we also have an indoor cabin, which is heated and has a lovely seating and bar area just for those days where it might rain in Ireland, just to be prepared. And of course, when we bring tourists out on the bay, we're offering cruises on the bay from a totally unique perspective. Dublin Bay is a UNESCO biosphere, so we're very proud to work in that environment. And our boat has recently been converted fully to HVO fuel, which is hydrogenated vegetable oil. So it's a very sustainable way to see the bay. And I'll speak more about that in a little while. If you could just move to the next slide. So just to give you a little bit of an idea about where you can visit in Dublin, to show you first of all the map, just to locate where we are for yourselves. We're on the east coast of Ireland and we're on Dublin Bay, which is a horseshoe-shaped bay. And we connect the city of Dublin with Dún Laoghaire to the south of the bay and Howth to the north. So you get to see a lovely mix of things in the area of Dublin, so that you're outside the city while still inside the city. And it's a wonderful way to have some outdoor adventure in a slow and an unrushed way, as Jack mentioned, the Tourism Unrushed initiative. So just in terms of those areas, Dún Laoghaire to the south of the bay is our maritime area in Dublin. That's where our maritime museum is for people interested in all things maritime, and also our yachting community. And there's also wonderful walks along Killiney Bay there in Killiney Head. And then also over in Howth, which is our fishing community, our vibrant fishing community over on the east coast, a most beautiful village that has fabulous walks along Howth Head, which you can see there on the bottom left of the screen. So again, you get that unique local experience of pubs in the area, gorgeous seafood. Speaking about the chowder that Jack mentioned earlier, you wouldn't beat the chowder in Howth. And also then in the vicinity, loads of wildlife, diverse wildlife in the area, from bird life on the birdlife sanctuaries out on Ireland's Eye, where you might see puffins if you're lucky. Also on the sea, you get to see seals also popping up their little heads in Howth Harbour every day, dolphins along the way too, if you're lucky. So we try and bring people to these areas through, a combination of our boat trips. And if you could just move to the next slide, I want to give you a little bit of information about our own position within the sustainable tourism environment. We operate on Dublin Bay UNESCO Biosphere, and we're in a very privileged position to do that because with a biosphere, we're balancing the conservation of biodiversity with community through sustainable activities and community events to make conservation at the centre of our business, but also to take into account the community and the way they live, and obviously to do that through the methods, through education and learning, and make our cruises a place of learning. So last year we had a decision to make as to whether we would invest in a new vessel or whether we would stay within the circular economy, and that's what we decided to do. So we revitalised the vessel in 2025. We took all of our engines and gearboxes out of the boat, remanufactured them completely, and replaced all our fuel, our diesel fuel, with HVO fuel, which is hydrogenated vegetable oil. And this was a totally private initiative. There wasn't any funding or anything available for it at the time. So it was a personal investment by the company. And we're delighted with the outcome because we've reduced emissions by up to 90%. And that's a massive thing for a diesel operated vessel. We're also members of the Fáilte Ireland Climate Action Programme, which we're delighted to be part of. And then on board our vessel during our trips, we focus very much on the educational aspect of the biosphere to try and educate people about the biosphere that we live in. We also participate in community events on board. For example, we would sponsor local, biodiversity and wildlife cruises, coastal festival events. We participate in a recycle scheme here where everyone in Ireland has to pay penalties now for buying plastics. And when you finish with your plastics and you can return them to get your money refunded. However, we get the company behind this to come and remove all our plastics from the vessel, and all that money goes into local charities. So we're doing our best in every way to promote the community and educate people about the biosphere. So gorgeous trips to be seen on Dublin Bay, and we're available for both FIT, group business, and also private hire. We do a lot of private events as well. So we'd love to have any of your clients on board to learn all about Dublin Bay and to see it from a biodiverse and sustainable point of view. And thank you very much for your time. If you want to show the last slide, Jack, you can show our contact details. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alwyn. As you can all see there, that's the contact information for Alwyn there and the team there at Dublin Bay. We will move to Sharon Porter with Solas Ireland.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sharon Porter from Solas Ireland Walks and Hikes, and we offer authentic walking tours along the Wild Atlantic Way with a local guide. We're based in Inishowen in County Donegal, which is up in the very northwest of the Republic of Ireland. And Inishowen is also the gateway to the Wild Atlantic Way, the longest continuous touring route in the world at 1,600 miles. Predominantly, our customers are culturally curious, female and aged 45 to 75. Next slide, please. Our product experiences, we have 4 basic product experiences. Our bog safari is our signature walking tour and Ireland's only bog safari. And this is a fascinating tour through Ireland's primeval peatlands. We talk about how the bogs came to be, the cultural heritage and myths and legends of the bog. We look at traditional means of cutting turf and new ways of cutting turf, the biodiversity of the bog, and also the folklore such as bog bodies and bog butter. Our Wild Atlantic Way Mountain Lakes hike is a classic coastal hiking experience. This is a medium level soft adventure where we climb up to 2 hidden mountain lakes in the Orris Hills. And this is actually where I first went walking, had my first hill walk with my father when I was a child. So it's a very special place. Our Living Landscape hike is a mini Camino, which takes us through spectacular mountain scenery and through the cultural heritage site of Momoir Gap. Momoir Gap is a very dramatic location, which came to be through many ice ages and has also been shaped by mankind. And it's also, as a mini Camino, it is also a place of pilgrimage. Our walk-through time is based in Fort Dunree on the shores of Lough Swilly. And this tells a story of the area from the end of the last ice age to it becoming the seat of the McLaughlin clan and a place of great defensive significance, particularly during the Napoleonic Wars and World War I and World War II. And included in that as well is a entry into the museum, Fort Dunree's museum, which can be enjoyed at the visitor's leisure. For the travel trade, we also offer an exclusive and bespoke service to meet the specific needs of your client. We're very happy to work with the travel trade to develop particular itineraries or events that take people off the beaten track and show Inishowen's hidden gems, particularly if it's for a special occasion. So that's available the whole year round on demand. Okay, next slide, please. Well, for Solas Ireland, our story is very much all about the bog or the peatland. Some tour companies plant a tree for every booking, but in Solas Ireland, we care very deeply about our peatland and our bogs. And bogs are hugely important contributors to biodiversity and in the fight against climate change. And a healthy and fully functioning bog are the most efficient long-term carbon stores and sinks in the world. Unfortunately, in Ireland, which in Europe has some of the, the most bogland, peatlands in Ireland, over 90% of our bogs are either dead or dying. So in Ireland, we're very much at a crossroads now. And this is our effort to help in the fight against climate change and also to progress the restoration of our bogs, which is basically just beginning in Ireland. We're a little bit behind. Scotland is quite much further ahead in terms of bog restoration. So for every booking we receive, we will plant some sphagnum moss, which is known as the bog builder, in one of our local bogs in need of restoration. On our hikes, you can experience this incredible habitat and cultural heritage firsthand on our hikes. In fact, in Donegal, you're never too far away from a bog in Donegal. And it has been described as the skin of our mountains. Next slide, please. So in terms of getting in contact, these are our contact details. There's also further information available on our product sheet and also our website, solasarland.com. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Sharon. And now I'd like to invite Barry Flanagan, our final presenter, to present.
Thanks so much, Jack and John and everyone for presenting today. I'm delighted to be part of the Tourism Cares family, folks. So my name's Barry Flanagan. As was said, I'm the owner and the operator of Erne Water Taxi, based in Enniskillen in County Fermanagh, and we provide guided boat tours of Lough Erne. So I started the business myself 10 years ago. The image you can see there in front of you is a pontoon boat, which is quite common in other parts of the world, but not so common here in Ireland. This is an Irish pontoon, I would say, with a roof and doors and windows that help to keep us dry. So I designed and built this boat, which is the first electric passenger vessel in Ireland. It's also solar powered, and over 80% of the required energy comes from the sun itself. And what makes the journey so special and enjoyable is the vessel is silent. It allows us to get really close to wildlife, and it's also accessible to everyone, including wheelchair users. Fermanagh, I suppose, is known as the Lakeland County, and our region is part of the Ireland's hidden heartlands, the very heart of Ireland that take in the Shannon Erne waterway. You can see Lough Erne in the right-hand corner there with 154 islands. And we like to say every island tells its own story. Ahascragh is our county town, that's it in the right-hand corner, and it's built on one of the islands on Lough Erne, famous for being the only island town in Ireland. So next slide, please. So I suppose if every island has a story, it's our job as guides to bring that story to life. And the image on the right shows a large island. You can see at the bottom of that image, it actually had its own pipe band, it had a football team, it had a school on it, as there were so many people living on these remote islands. As well as that story of the islanders and their culture, we're also telling the story of the history and the significance of these islands and their monastic heritage. It's on these islands that you'll find 1,000-year-old stone carvings, you'll find round towers, you'll have intricate Celtic crosses, just to name a few things you might find out there. Next slide, please. We also have a yellow water taxi, which was the one we started with 10 years ago. It has, I suppose, it's a bit of a New York vibe there. It's an 8-seater boat and it's sustainable. It's suitable for private chauffeur-driven tours on the lake. Devonish Island's probably one of our most famous islands and the most interesting islands. Very special place, and it's here we bring our guests on our most popular tour. You can see the round tower there in the bottom right. It's one of the best in Ireland. It's got over 900 years of history. It's housed monks, it's housed chieftains, it's housed scholars, and now it houses our guests because I have the keys and I get to bring them inside for a very exclusive experience. Next slide there, please. So what makes our tours so special? I suppose we have a genuine care and connection to our beautiful lakeland landscape and its preservation, including the built heritage, the natural heritage, the flora and fauna, and its wildlife. We're aiming, I suppose, to provide access for everyone, regardless of their age, their ability, and make each person feel included and valued as the next person. Our guides are all local, passionate guides who are deeply rooted here and have a love of Fermanagh and Lough Erne. And the business itself is part of a regenerative tourism network in the geopark, which is called Cuilcagh Lakelands Geopark. I suppose ultimately we're aiming to provide the highest quality visitor experience possible, and our reviews and TripAdvisor show we're the top rated boat tour in the north of Ireland and one of the top in Ireland, and we're often described as the highlight of a visitor's trip to Ireland. So that's really us in short, short introduction to my company, and I want to welcome you all and your guests to experience how special this place really is. And thanks, folks.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you to all of our presenters today. I don't know about the rest of the audience, but certainly I'm feeling inspired by the work that you're all doing to generate impact in your backyards, but then also by the incredible experiences that you're putting together for our guests. So I really appreciate all the work that you're doing. I know that our audience has questions. They're just not quite surfacing them yet. So as we encourage folks to throw their questions into the Q&A or into the chat, let me just get things started with something that I'm curious about after listening to all of you. So I'll invite all of our impact partners to turn their videos on and unmute themselves, and feel free to jump in on this. Some of you, there's a real obvious connection between meaningful travel or sustainability in the way that you connect with your guests. I'm thinking, Tracey, there's a real direct connection at the Farmhouse between sustainability as a product and the experience that your guests have. And maybe some of you, it's a little bit less so. So like Owen, I'm thinking of the Distillery, where, maybe a guest does or doesn't care about whether the spirits that they're drinking were created using a ton of, carbon fuel or not. So just curious to hear from some of you, what is that experience like of sharing sustainability with the clients? When it clicks for them, how do you get it to click for them? How do you use sustainability to create a better experience for guests. And I think there was a question in the chat whether this presentation will be shared. We'll have the video shared. We also usually send out a PDF of all the slides, just so everybody knows. But I'll let our speakers jump in and answer that question of how you share sustainability with guests in a way that clicks for them.
To be honest, John, I would say that it's really very easy on the island of Ireland to be sustainable. We have all that rainfall for a reason. It gives us a very rich soil, which in turn gives us a very rich food and drink product. So we're surrounded by fresh air and green grass and wonderful seas and so on. And certainly from my own experience, coming in here to a small farm, it's all around you. And in fact, we went through a sustainability program with Tourism Northern Ireland. And the one thing that I learned from it was that we're already doing lots of things that are best practice without even realizing it.
Thanks for sharing, Tracey. Anybody else want to hop in and answer that question?
I can jump in. So just to say, I suppose for us with our guided tours of the gardens, people are very interested in that. And I think that's a good way for us to communicate it through the gardeners who are actually working in the gardens. And they're able to kind of talk about the land. Like Mount Congreve is in its own little ecoclimate. So to Tracey's point, we're very lucky, when there's rainfall here, it's great news for the gardens. And a lot of the species only survive in Mount Congreve because of that microclimate. We're definitely finding more and more people are interested in the sustainability aspect as well, which is great because our team love talking about it.
Thanks, Emma. And Sharon, I saw you have your hand raised as well.
Yeah. Well, we're ecotourism certified and we specialize in small group travel. And obviously, when we go on bog safari, people have this romantic image of the bog and the smell of turf. Many visitors to Ireland love the smell of turf. But basically, our hikes are edgy hikes, edgy walks. And we introduce them to the fact that, it takes 1,000 years for 1 meter of peat to grow. And it's much better in the ground than it is burning it because once you open up the peat, you release the carbon. And when you burn turf, you have a double whammy. You burn the store of carbon in the peat. So a lot of people don't realize this, so it's creating that awareness. It's doing it in an environmentally friendly way where we're not actually damaging this fragile environment, that we're staying on paths where, so that's really very much at the heart of what we're doing is creating this awareness and doing it in a sustainable manner without causing any harm to the environment that we are trying to, celebrate and also cherish, long term.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's a good transition to the two open questions that we have in our Q&A here. And I think they're kind of on to the same thing. So I'll ask them as one question and let you all hop in. There's a question about, how you personally have been affected by running a meaningful and sustainable business. But then the follow-up part of that was what you hope guests to walk away from visiting your experience with, like how will they be changed? And that kind of leads into the question posed here by one of our Tourism Cares friends, Jonathan Turtle, about how you are impacting the people around you. So maybe getting other people to do bog preservation, maybe getting other people to retrofit the ships with, onboard sustainable motors or electric motors, that sort of thing. Any good stories from our impact partners on the call here about having a big impact on a guest who went away and did something differently, or having an impact on others in your community to drive them towards more sustainable outcomes?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. For us, like we want a guest to walk away just thinking this is better, or to just think, why isn't everybody doing it like this? We want to really push across that doing things the sustainable way is the common sense way. And for a lot of people that does register, but for some, for some of the skeptics to come in, the kicker for us is always just trying to convince, or not trying to convince, but just showing people that sustainability doesn't always have to cost a fortune. It doesn't have to cost a business money. It doesn't have to cost consumer money either. So when we look at our production, the easiest way to convince other distilleries to adopt the system that we have is by telling them that we only use 40% of the energy that they're using to produce the same amount of spirit. And obviously, everybody knows energy is where the bulk of your expenses are at the moment. So, the sustainability is the carrot, but sometimes you have to use the kind of cost savings as a stick to get people there, I think. And as well,
And
with consumers, our whiskey is cheaper as a result of that.
yeah, thank you for sharing that. And we love to see you sharing your business model and even the financials with your competitors. We call that the Tourism Cares co-opetition, where you're helping with best practices, even for with those businesses that you might be competing with. Anybody else want to chime in on that one?
Similar to Owen there, I suppose I think, sometimes it's just a piece of education without really preaching, I suppose. And, when people get on the boat and they they experience and they feel that it is a different experience from being a silent boat, for example, us going straight up to wildlife and them not even being disturbed in their nests and not moving. They do see that there is an alternative way. And as well as that, like Owen was saying, we've had a number of businesses from all around Ireland coming to ask us about the electric boat. People thought it wasn't possible to have a solar powered boat in Ireland, to be quite honest. I think now that we've shown it that it is, we've a lot of interest from other businesses, and we're happy to share our plans and our and how it can be done.
Thank you, Barry. Any final words from our impact partners? And that would be before I throw it back over to Jack and Kieran in case they have any final sign off before I close out the webinar.
Yeah, I would just like, sorry.
Go ahead, Alwyn.
Just to add, I suppose particularly to what Barry is saying, even though our alternative fuel source is a different one, two things that we have noticed is that, like that, a lot of other boat operators around the country asking us how we find the HVO fuel, and indeed because we were the first ones to do that. So it's great to be able to impart that knowledge to them, but also I think just in terms of when it's through education, as the others have said, both to our crew and also I would have to say, and also to our staff on board. It's not always easy to bring people along on making sustainability the center of your operation. But we would definitely find that having done the job that we've done, the crew are so much prouder of what they're working on. And they're so much more aware of the UNESCO biosphere and the bay that they live in, and so much prouder to tell other people about it. And then again, when people come on board with our guiding, focusing on that and educating people about the biodiversity on the bay, showing them the wildlife, showing them the scenery, just giving them that information. It takes time to filter through, but it definitely does filter through, and it creates a working environment that we're all really proud of as well.
Thank you so much. Kieran, Jack, any final words for our audience before I close us off here?
More of a thank you, I think, is probably the best way. From a tourism body and sort of the marketing arm here in the US, it's just great for our industry partners to be able to come on here and have a platform like this to talk about the things that they do from a general tourism perspective. You're getting the best of our destination here, and it's a good cross section of all different experiences that we have, all working from a common place. So you're getting very transparent operational business, everything you were mentioning before, John. So just thank you to our industry partners for jumping on. And, we're going to continue to do our part here and continue to add more industry partners to a small map. I mean, we're going to have a lot of pins in there for a tiny island, but that just goes to show you how much work is being done within the island of Ireland. And it's great to have this platform to showcase it so we can impact decision making wherever the education process is at this point. Even if it's in the early beginnings, there's always things we can do to help adjust adjust, even if it's a one itinerary, one tour. We have a starting place, and this is a map is about having a place for people to be able to utilize and to adjust. And we're here as a tourism body to help on the education. We'll continue to do our job here, but thank you to everybody who also joined, and John and the team for putting it together.
Thanks, Tourism Ireland, and for our impact partners joining us today. We really appreciate your time and sharing your stories with our audience. We did have a couple Q&A questions that we didn't get a chance to address, so we'll try to address those in our follow-up email. If our impact partners have anything they'd like to say on those, please feel free to reach out to me. So as we close, I just want to share a couple more things that we had trouble deciding which impact partners to put on this webinar. So we're actually going to be doing another Ireland-focused webinar in the fall. So stay tuned for that to be introduced to more of these wonderful Irish impact partners. We invite you to learn more about the Meaningful Travel Map. You can use the QR codes here on your screen to see the map, to get in touch with us. And we'd love to have you consider joining the Tourism Cares community as a member. We're member supported. We have about 160 travel companies in our community. Memberships range from professional member, like individual advisors or other professionals, to corporate and destination membership programs. So you can check out our member page to learn more. If you liked our webinar today, we hope you'll join us for another educational peer-to-peer learning opportunity that we have coming up. We have them throughout the year. Next month, in honor of Earth Day, we'll be hosting a special webinar in partnership with North Star and Travel Weekly, which is Monday, April 20th at 2 p.m., which is from Earth Day to Every Day. So we'll have some of our partners on that call sharing how sustainability can strengthen brand position and client trust, what authentic commitment to sustainability looks like, and how you can kind of identify and sell partners that have real impact. So scan the QR code there to learn more, or visit tourismcares.org/webinars. And then finally, we know sustainability can be a big, scary topic. We just want you all to feel encouraged to get started. The best way to get started is just start integrating these partners into the work that you're doing. Start small, keep learning, and let's make travel better together. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Tourism Cares or our partners on this call. We encourage you to reach out and get any assistance that you need. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks a lot.